And welcome back to the Jackrabbit Illustrated podcast. We are back after a few months off, maybe more than a few, besides Alex and Chad. You guys have been busy wrestling stuff. But we are back with the football show now. Yeah, right? Okay. So tonight we are focusing on the Missouri Valley Football Conference. These three were all at the media day, so we are excited to hear from them. But first off, got to thank our lovely sponsors. We have all sorts of sponsors here that we have to thank. Title sponsor again this year, Kubota Dealers of South Dakota, John Colley. Thank you for your continued support. All sorts of locations. Just spent 3 hours on mine today mowing my yard. So
just changed oil in mine today.
And if hey, I probably need to do that. Thanks, Chad, for the reminder.
50 hours. I was over by
good. We also have Northwestern Mutual again, of course. Oh, I blipped again.
Yeah, it's gonna happen, Matt. We'll just keep going with it.
Okay, good.
We can hear you fine.
Next up, Northwestern Mutual. They've been a sponsor now with us for 3-4 years, so quite a while. Thank you, Chris Schenkel and your crew down there. We'll get in Northwestern Mutual stuff as the year goes along. Alex's lemonade stand again. Okay. Yeah.
Everybody bear with us. It's preseason.
It's preseason. Oh, man. We're losing Matt's camera and everything.
Same sponsors you've come to know and love on all of our shows. Cubbies, Culver's,
Wooden Legs.
What was that?
Wooden Legs.
Wooden Legs, yes. Some exciting news there. I guess I could probably just break it out right now. We had some personal feedback and some other feedback we received on our beer. We are tweaking the recipe to make it a little less bitter on the aftertaste. And so it's going to be made this year with lemon puree instead of lemon peel. A little bit of vanilla bean, and we're going to back down just the touch of the hops, but it's going to still be a lemon kolsch. So should be the same, only better. That's not possible, I guess.
Hell yeah. I'm excited for it. I mean, it was good last year, but you can only get better, right? So I'm pumped for all the tweaks you're making.
It was a first attempt, and I had maybe too much input on the recipe. So we got innovative engineering.
As always.
What's that? I thought it was good. I liked it as is, honestly, but we got innovative engineering solutions coming back. I believe they're kind of a B team sponsor, a little more so. Blue Tide Car Wash, as always. That's I bet that will go good with a burger. I just had a burger. Are you drinking? We're sneezing, man. This is preseason.
This is a mess.
We do have one new sponsor too. Sorry.
Yep.
Go ahead.
DFS Insurance. That's Nate Helland and Cole Langer. Nate's going to serve you in the T and Yankton area, and Cole in Madison and Brookings. So thanks to those guys for hopping in here too. If you got home auto needs, reach out to those guys. Blue Tide Car Wash. Do we say them yet?
Yeah, we did.
If not, okay. Otherwise, Rick will be walking 5 blocks down to come knock on my door. Otherwise, so.
So now that the bills are out of the way.
Well, and we are closing in on having a tent sponsored for the tailgate as well. So
yeah, the word on the street is we might be in a new location, but that isn't 100% at this point. So stay tuned for that news.
We haven't seen it quite yet.
We haven't seen it. We've been told that we maybe were moved. From a reliable source, but but still we haven't seen anything. Maybe Matt has. I don't know what's going on with the internet there. So guys,
Matt's got a new man cave, so he's getting it ironed out. First game in a new place. Sometimes you got a little bit of a different deal going on, and stuff happens.
Alex rocking a sick hat. And me too. Hey, Kubota. But we went down to the Pentagon. And Alex, you want to talk about that? Brendan, you guys got anything to talk about there?
So just to give I swear we did talk about some of this beforehand. To give everyone an overview of what we're looking at tonight. We're going to talk about media day kind of
Doesn't feel like it right now.
5,000-foot view of kind of what that was like. Some of our conversations with the brass there. Then we will go through reverse order of the teams that were picked for the Valley. So first off, media day. Chad asked me to start, so I will. It was good. It's always good to get to make those connections. They condensed it quite a bit this year from last year, so we were really kind of stuck in just kind of the press conference room the whole time, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It was nice last year. Brendan and I got to have some really good one-on-one conversations both on and off the record. This past year, we just didn't quite get to do that this year. The Valley still has, Mike Kern was supposedly going to post all those, but he hasn't yet. So I think we may have the only copies. So Chad and I might have to work on getting all the press conferences posted this week. But it was good. It definitely got me ready for football. I did that, and I was asked by DSU to come throw some flags during their team camp this last week too. So like I went from like, I don't know if I'm ready for football, but between that, the last couple of weeks, I'm like, all right, let's bring this on. So Chad, Brendan, what did you guys think?
I thought it was great. I got to get some answers to some really good questions. Enjoyed being able to ask Commissioner Jackson some questions. I tweeted it out. I've said it all the time, but the consistent media push that who's the Valley going to add? Who's the Valley going to add? How could the Valley add Murray State? So I point blank asked him, I said, hey, you're the Summit League and the MVC, they're your two separate entities, and then their teams play in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Does the MVFC have any say in how that goes, or is that pretty much what the conference decides? The Olympic sports conferences add, and then they have a home in the MVFC. And he point blank said, well, I'm pretty qualified to answer this as the head of the Missouri Valley Conference as well for their commissioner. It's up to what the Summit League and the Missouri Valley add. It is not a football ad. It's not, nobody's sitting here going, hey, I want to add, this team and this team and this team for football. There might be some consideration by the football teams, that are in those conferences, but that is not the driving force to add teams. So that was really cool. Really liked some of the questions and answers we got from a variety of the schools. Really thought it was interesting, some of the answers we got from the Jacks and from Coach Vitz down at USD. That was pretty interesting. So
we'll get there, I'm sure, but he's honestly probably one of my favorite interviews, like truthfully.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good, and Jody obviously was as awesome as you guys.
Yeah, Jody Wright's always awesome.
Jody Wright was great, and Brock Spack actually was more loose than I would have expected. My takeaways. I didn't mean to interrupt, Brendan. Were you?
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
It was new to me, and so it was a little different. Matt's laughing because I always interrupt. So what's new there? But anyway,
mid-season form on that, Chad.
Yeah. That's everybody's used to that. But yeah, those guys were great. Vitzman was really, really good to listen to. Sounded a little bit like maybe he was talking himself into believing what he was saying at some points, based on personnel. But that was just my takeaway. The other coaches were great. I think there's some really quality players and coaches in this league that people don't really get to see. It's easier to hate someone from 500 feet than it is, 10
across the
or
table
5.
Yeah.
or 5.
Yeah.
So, it was a good time. I think next year we'll maybe try and do some of those one-on-ones. Maybe we just didn't get them because we didn't ask. So we'll maybe try and circle back for that for you guys next year. Maybe we'll see what we can do.
Well, I think every year when it comes to that, we're going to be a little better. I thought we were a lot better prepared this year for what was going on from our side of things. It was Chad's first year, but still, I think we were really well prepared. We got thanked for all the questions we had.
Yeah, I was going to point that out too. But, it wasn't for us. There wouldn't have been a press conference for some of them guys.
Right.
Seriously?
So I think, yeah.
100%.
Which is that, like they're like, yeah, that's a good thing, because you guys asking questions there makes it worth their time to be there.
Sure.
So that was cool. Maybe next year we split up a little more instead of all being, we had 3 of us and we all were sitting in the press conferences. So we probably could have allocated resources differently as well, but that's okay. My overarching view is there is not a coach in the conference that I would not feel comfortable sending my son to play for, to be honest. Just from the interactions with them there, they all seem like really great dudes. Really enjoy talking to him. Brock Spack is probably up there as my favorite non-SDSU coach, because he's just got that gruff, no nonsense football
Exterior.
exterior. And then you start talking to him and, oh God, he's great. He's just cracking jokes, super great personality, just a hoot to talk to. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Only thing I was going to add here is we did get to talk to Kyle Grooms a little bit, and that was kind of an off-the-wall, off-the-record conversation. So I'm going to be somewhat respectful of that. But those who don't know, Kyle is the former UAC commissioner and now year 2 of the director of operations from the Missouri Valley football conference, excuse me. And the kind of one thing I really wanted to know, and I asked Commissioner Jackson about it in the press. He's like, "Oh, just find Kyle in the hallway and hound him about it." So I did. TV games, obviously the MVFC has the current ESPN contract. So I was just point blank is like, Kyle, what goes into that? And you guys got the extra curve ball with the scheduling with the green and yellow fuzzy elephant in the room. We're not going to talk about it all, so go away if you're here to talk about that tonight. He said, yeah, obviously we had to make some drastic changes in our scheduling, which affected some of that. He said, but it's an interesting cross section for him, because he actually does, it's a smaller conference naturally. So he actually does a lot of that work himself. Right. And so it's a combination of he's trying to find dates where maybe instead of ESPNU for a 7:00 p.m. kick, we can get ESPN2 for 11 o'clock, 2:30. So he's playing that game. At the same time, he's, no offense, we'll just call it what it is, he's not trying to send to Murray State, Indiana State either. He's trying to feature the rivalry games. That's why SDSU, USD has been featured every year. The Marker's been featured every year. We got Illinois State, Southern Illinois this year. He's trying to feature those better matchups that are also rivalry games. It's going to look good on TV, and it's going to look positive on the conference. So I thought that was very interesting. And the other interesting piece on that was I know there's a lot of gruff nationally. I know we've got some of our national followers and friends here about the MVFC out of conference this year. Kyle plays a big part in helping the MVFC schedule out of conference games. That's something he really prides himself on. He said if you call asking for a game of anyone within the top 1 to 4 teams in the MVFC, outside of a few other programs, you just get hung up on.
That's what he said.
So not going to name names of some of the people he called out, but just know the efforts were made insofar as the conference office, and it takes 2 to tango.
And that's, I mean, with the scheduling stuff, it was frustrating, right? That we had to wait for so long to find out who we were playing, and Stetson eventually stepped in. But off the record, with Dan, he listed a bunch of the schools that they had made really reasonable offers to. They had tried to make an offer to go somewhere to play, and that was just rejected. So, it takes 2 to tango. Whoever said that, you're right.
Yeah, 100. Well, in some of the dollar amounts that SCSU's having to throw around to get teams
is stupid.
Like it's a G5 guarantee to get a school up to SCSU, and some teams are turning that down. So, there's that factor into it.
It's not like you can. It's not like you can schedule Tarleton. They'll just
back
turn
out.
tail and leave.
Yeah, the tail tuckers will leave. It's
Sorry.
fine. For sure. Like Kevin says, you got 2 D1 opponents. That's nothing to be ashamed of. In the current age of college athletics, that's really what it boils down to. You're in the MVFC, and when it comes to scheduling, my theory is if you are a team that is in a power conference, you really don't need a meat grinder of an out of conference. We've said this year after year. But if you're in a smaller conference, then you probably should be trying to schedule the big boys out of conference to get those games, get those home and homes, whatever. Don't be ducking them.
Yep.
Otherwise, don't complain. If you want to keep your schedule regional and bus trips for your out of conference games, then don't come complaining around the end of the season when your SOS, your strength schedules get thrown out there. There's a reason for it, and that's okay. It makes sense if you're a team on the East Coast and you play only NEC teams in your out of conference because they're within 50 miles, then sure, it makes sense. But don't complain and try to pump it up to be something it's not.
Yep.
And I mean, we were handed a ish sandwich for our scheduling, and so we get to go to the Alaris Center for the 3rd year in a row. Yay!
Yeah.
But I mean, that was the best result.
Kyle brought
right?
that up before he said, "Look, do you want, those Dakota schools? We kind of had to have some hard conversations with the new normal, and it's do you want both home and then both away the next year, and then it's fluctuating revenue for your athletic department, and it's someone's got to eat it, and we're tough people in Brookings, we can be the ones to eat it." That's fine.
Well, and the reality it was at USD or at UND.
Yeah,
you were gonna back-to-back road games there, and our fan base will swallow the pill of going to UND for a 3rd time better than going to Vermilion twice
in a row. Yes,
again. So there was a lot of interesting stuff on there. He did say he would come on the pod with us.
I was
cool to kind of go over that stuff, because talking with him, it was interesting. We basically came to the conclusion that a lot of the angst and everything about scheduling and how things play out and where bye weeks are and all that stuff and where they've been landing. A lot of that is you don't know what they're dealing with on their side of the fence, so you're mad. And there's sound reasoning for why some things have played out the way they have and whatever. We don't have to like it, but it'd be good. It'd be great to have him on, and he's open to do that, so it's pretty cool.
Elliot Benson said there, I don't mind going to Grand Forks twice. Nice facility,
no, it's
great
Grandpa
fans.
Forks now.
I know, I love.
I thought Grandpa Forks was on purpose.
Can we just call it that? I love that.
It's like Grandma Spoons and Grandpa. Oh, that's gonna come out bad.
Oh man.
And yesterday at Potato Days in Clark, speaking of Grand Forks, I did run into Chad Dunewald of Dunewald Transportation. He's the one that did the bus last year up to Grand Forks. And he said him and Jim are already talking about some potential trips. So Jim's not in the chat, it doesn't look like tonight, but that's something to watch. Chad said he would definitely do it again. Him and Jim are talking about it. So we'll see. You. Could be pretty cool again. So yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
all right,
that's probably enough about media today, I'd say.
Yeah, should we get into these teams?
Let's do it.
Certainly.
All right.
Do you want me to share the old conference preseason?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So
now the stupid thing. Goodness sakes.
So I kind of
everything's new on
Jesus,
this.
Chad.
So. Sorry.
So I kind of think on this, we've talked about it privately and stuff, but there's some pretty obvious tiers, right? In my opinion.
Yeah.
South Dakota State at the top. I think that makes sense. Illinois State was in the national championship last year. Maybe could feel disrespected with that. but losing a little bit. We'll get into them in a second here. I think that's kind of a natural 2, in my opinion. Illinois State is. And then after that, what is it? 3 through 6 is kind of shake up a bag of Yahtzee or of Scrabble tiles and just kind of see how they fall. And then at the bottom, Indiana State, UNI, Murray State, kind of that very bottom tier. That's what makes sense to me. Alex, just general impressions. Is that how you see it too?
Yeah. I think really, not to sound complete homer already, because I always tell myself I'm not going to do that right. But I wouldn't call it unanimous, because obviously it wasn't. But I think SDSU, all things go according to plan, this is a pretty clear, clean cut number 1. Talk about tiers. I think in that next tier for me, I think Youngstown, Illinois State, and UND all kind of have the chance to be a half step above kind of USD and SIU this upcoming year. So I kind of think they're 5 and 6 on their own personally. Like I said, we'll get into higher detail here too, but there's one team that's got a really couple star players and not a lot else, and the other team has probably good consistency, but then a lot of question marks. And then, bottom there, UNI, Indiana State, Murray State, and we'll get into that in a second here. We start going team by team, but I don't think they're near the other top 6, but I think those 3 teams are closer this year to each other than they maybe have been years past.
So, first off, with the losing that other team, we get to have a round robin. So your schedule plays less of a factor, but also a little bit more of a factor, if that makes any sense, where you're going to play and what time of the season you're going to play them. So I've actually put some spreadsheets together for myself. I feel like Alex, where I put like a heat map on their games for, with road and away games and everything. So I can visualize tough stretches and everything else.
I don't want to interrupt you too much, because I know you're feeble-minded, but did you actually calculate who has the furthest travel distance? Because that would have been kind of sick.
Absolutely not. No.
Oh, we should.
I was finishing it up as we were talking.
Nerd.
Relax. I don't care about distance travel. I care about difficulty of venue. How about that? And shout out to Kevin Marshall, by the way, with FCS Nation Radio, bringing me Mellow Yellow after I was bemoaning that Mellow Yellow seems to be going away in all these places. So shout out to him for remembering that. That was funny.
There's been some studies, and it's mostly NFL, and that's where stuff gets convoluted on the NFL side of the world, right? Because those stadiums and teams are all so similar. I mean, the number 1 and number 32 NFL team are closer than the number 1 and number 20 college football team, FBS or FCS.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But it's number of days, then distance, then actual home field is kind of what is important historically.
So I used a much more scientific formula, my gut and how I just feel about teams. So I actually,
that's what Craig does. Let's do it. I am in mid-season form.
Oh man, I love it. I am a little offended by getting grouped in with him, but that's okay. I think Southern Illinois is going to surprise compared to what Alex said. I think they're firmly in that middle tier of teams. If you look at their season last year, they had so many games that they gave away. The USD game, the Youngstown State game, those sort of games that they blew big leads and choked away. You got DJ Williams coming back. The incredible thing with the conference this year is how much star power there is at the quarterback position for a historically defensive conference. It's amazing. And I think you automatically put those teams towards the front. Shout out to Blue Bloods, and Timothy Rosario at FCS Central. They put out the article where they put returning production by percentage offense, defensive overall. So before USD fans are all worked up and everything, they only return like 35% of their offense, and there's a lot of talk about locally about how well they should be getting more disrespect, and there's a lot of talk about they got the second most wins in the Valley in the last 2 years, and it's like that's a pretty goddamn arbitrary point, because last year was the first year SCSU hasn't made the semifinals since the year of our Lord 2019, but 3 quarterfinals in a row is the thing that gets bandied about all the time, and it kind of drives me nuts.
I mean, that's what they got to point out.
And here I do want to say this, taking off the rivalry hat, that's nothing to be snarky at. Making the quarterfinal 3 times in a row, we've been there. That's you scale up, right? And you are going to be measured on a different scale when you're South Dakota State with national titles, and you are a top 3 team in the country every year. You are going to be judged much more harshly. So that is the way it is, and they do deserve credit for that. It just itches my scalp a little bit sometimes when you hear it all the time, and when that's the reasoning that they're going to be pretty good, and nobody talks about O-line issues or anything when they pretty much have a brand new O-line and all the other things. So I think that USD is your pretty clear next tier, and I believe they're pretty much in a tier on their own. And then you've got your Indiana State, Murray State, and then after that it's UNI and the Cellar by themselves. I think they only win their Pioneer Conference opponent.
Sepsis didn't have you believing at the or were you out on the call at that one?
I think I was out on a work call when Stepsis was on the podium with you guys.
I don't know. I think they might improve. I could see them being in the fair to Midland of the bottom. So maybe not all in the gutter.
So he convinced you, obviously.
He convinced you.
A little bit.
Right. Yeah. He's sold.
Alex is like not. I noticed your comments earlier.
Alex, should we dive into some Murray State here? Do we want to stay on UNI?
I think we should start at Murray State personally, unless Chad's done with his overall thoughts there. You got anything to add, Matt?
No, I don't. I said my tiers. I think it's pretty clear. Like, we got kind of a top end, a bottom 3, and then kind of a murky middle. And we'll just see. It's going to be injuries, like Kevin kind of said there in the comments. Lots of star power at quarterback, but every team is one quarterback injury away from being just another team. So we saw that. We get it. So Murray State, speaking of quarterback, Jim Ogle, gunslinger, right?
Yeah. Jim Ogle is going to be a guy. It's going to be fireworks. He's going to be your Jameis Winston 30 for 30 type guy. Obviously, they're probably working to cut down on some of those interceptions. That's a reference anyone doesn't know. There's a meme on the NFL online a couple of years ago. Jameis Winston threw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in the same season.
Yep.
And that's kind of Jim Ogle's play style a little bit. I'm sorry, Matt. Did you have more to add there? Or?
No, I mean, he had nine touchdowns and 13 interceptions. I mean, that's really it. Like that.
And he was hurt kind of the back half of the year too, so hopefully got to do some learning there. They are a young team, and that's part of by design. Talking with Coach Wright is he's not looking for a bunch of mercenaries because he's not trying to be good for 1 year to save his job. He wants to build something, and you got to keep in mind that guy has shared a coach's office with Nick Saban, so he kind of knows what he's doing. He's had a cup of coffee in the NFL and just super smart guy. I think he's the right guy to kind of build that program. Like a couple years in, I know the results maybe haven't been there, but just from my interactions with him, they could not have hired anyone better. And to that point, only 13 seniors on the roster. So a lot of youth.
Yep.
Yeah, I think their struggle right now is and I think that's what makes it particularly difficult in this era of college football is trying to have any retention in the transfer portal era when you are a bottom dweller team like that.
Mhm.
It's really hard to build and get momentum when you're getting cut off at the knees every year by the transfer portal because, you haven't built anything. They are fortunately coming up with some money for facilities and things
Yeah,
like
saw
that, which
that.
that's a huge positive, step in the right direction. That's, it certainly doesn't hurt. And the reality is a lot of college athletics, your successful teams spend money, long term. It's pretty rare that a successful program does not have funding behind it.
Mhm.
You can have money and suck, but most of your good programs have the support behind them. So that's a great sign for them. I think they get their conference win this year. I think they beat UNI.
Well, they got one last year.
Yeah, I thought they had one.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, they did. They did. I actually have them.
Threes.
I think I have them with 3 wins this year. So,
Hey, okay.
their schedule is a little less brutal. Let me see if I can pull up my sheet. It's being slow for me, of course. I got them winning week 1 and week 2. So that would be that would be Valparaiso and Eastern Illinois. I have no faith in Eastern Illinois. And they're both home games. So I think they pull it out, and I think they beat UNI. So that'd be 3 for them. That'd be a marked improvement. That's something we've asked Coach Red a couple of years. How do you gauge improvement when you're moving into a conference like this and you're getting the tar beat out of you every time? And I think you've seen some improvement from them. I think he's starting to get the ship turned in the right direction, but I think it's just the point where they're going to compete with your bottom dwellers for the moment.
Anything to add there, Chad?
No, I agree. I think that's about where they're going to be at. I don't know. We'll see. That bottom is always going to be a fight to the bottom, right? Like no other way to really cut that. So
Yeah, they have a couple good defensive backs as well.
it's a ton of offense last year too, right?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like they're not known as like a good defensive team ever, but they do have a couple D backs that are really athletic and could make some plays for them this year. So who knows? All just depends.
Sounds like we got a lot of connection issues for people.
Is it me?
No, it seems like it's kind of just sporadic because Kevin is also in Montana and says his is okay. So
yeah, that's weird.
So
I started the stream, so I don't know whose internet it really goes off of.
Ah, sweet. Blame Chad. Quit screwing it up. Yeah. You get your drink delivery, you sneaky minx.
Well, let's move on to you and I. I'm very curious. What did
Indiana State?
Well, I think I'm gonna go with whatever. Let's go with Indiana State then. Whatever.
I thought we were just going in order of the preseason poll.
my preseason poll, but no. Yeah, Indiana State.
Yeah, their interesting conversation right off the bat is I was trying to pull up their roster, and they still don't have a 2026 roster updated yet. So awesome job, Indiana State.
Theirs is bad.
Totally drawing a blank there, but the guy that started when they beat SDSU, they're letting him compete with the job against Elijah Owens, who, for those that don't remember, got hurt super early last year, but was the 2024 MVFC Freshman of the Year. So I thought that was interesting because obviously you can't, being an SDSU podcast, can't talk too much crap from our seat on that kid. But call it what it is. Elijah Owens is really good. Truthfully, I was genuinely shocked, not just the modern era of college football, right? I was genuinely shocked when he went back to Terre Haute last year. I was glad he did, but I was shocked. So that's kind of an interesting piece to watch. And they have a new offensive coordinator who they are extremely high on. They had their one O lineman in there for me today, and I'm totally drawing a blank on his name too, which was just terrible.
The kid with the that was the other team. Never mind.
Yeah, he had the huge big beard. But he seems very excited, and so does their head coach, Coach Mallory, about what they're going to bring to the table.
Did they have just a ton of roster turnover? Because I did find their roster. It's the 2026 roster, but I don't recognize any of these names.
They had quite a bit. They also were kind of an older team last year too.
Man, I'm just going through this, and I'm like, I don't know anything. DJ Griffith, yep, linebacker. Do you recognize that name?
I think he was in the press conference.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yep, good player.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. You're right about the quarterback situation. That is interesting, and that we'll see how that shakes out, right? And I like Kurt Mallory. Like we've been saying, we've been fans of Kurt Mallory for a number of years. We have good things to say about him every time. It's just I think it's one of those schools that's really tricky to recruit to, right?
Yeah.
In Terre Haute, right? So.
I mean, you get Indiana State to the playoffs at any point, you're a pretty good coach.
Yeah.
This is true. You got to wonder if it got harder after this last year, too, with what's going on in state.
So he mentioned that, and he felt like that was actually making their lives easier.
Yeah. That was weird to me. I didn't think that.
So obviously, we're referencing Indiana wins the college football playoff, and Purdue was almost like a college football playoff dark horse the last couple of years. And so and then Notre Dame made the college football playoff. So he cited that specifically, like the other Division I teams in state being good is kind of helping get people excited about Indiana State. I almost seemed like he was trying to convince himself of that a little bit.
Nah, that's an awful stretch.
You send the recruiting letter out with Indiana in bigger letters and state. And
why is Indiana sending me something that's blue?
That's our recruiting color.
But he did bring it up like 2 or 3 times.
He did, yeah. And I thought it was odd every time.
I guess I could see it. You know, they talk. There's a lot of talk in our state here, the rising tide of raising all boats. But yeah, right. Texas being good football is making people excited about Houston Christian.
They're just happy not to have that sketchy CBS in the corner.
Just like in the recruiting material, you know, Signetti and Mallory standing with their arms around each other. Like that's come play in Indiana.
JMU also uses that tactic, don't they, Jamie?
Yeah.
Because, you know, yes, in name only.
Well, you know, they did make the playoff. You can't.
Yeah. How'd that go?
It's the wrong team to knock on that, I think. But oh shit, I never calculated Indiana State's record.
Larry Bird also went to Indiana, so that complicates the situation, Kevin, even more. It's even more confusing now.
That was like the only known fact about Indiana State that everybody knows, right? Is that
Larry Bird went
there?
Yeah, but he went to Indiana first. So
I see.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know Matt's fact. I knew the other fact.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know he went to Indiana first, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I got you guys. Don't worry. Okay.
Yeah, I think Indiana. I mean, in the end, I think Indiana State's the team that loses all their really tough games and wins against the bottom ones personally. So I got them with 4 wins.
Yeah, me too.
You and I.
Nope.
So they do have good athletes, right? Again, we've talked about JC Rock in the past, kind of a little like jitterbug 5'9" wide receiver, right? Just a little guy there. Grant Larkin, I was surprised to see he's still on the roster at wide receiver because that is a kid that I knew SDSU really, really wanted. He's from, same school as Mark, Neuqua Valley. And he chose UNI. I think he was committed to us. He was committed to NDSU, flirted with us for a while, and then ended up going to UNI. And we haven't heard anything from him since he's been down there. So, that's just a really interesting one there. That Aiden Price, his brother Andrew was on the team last year. Andrew transferred to UNI. Aiden's one of those Iowa kids, an Iowa wide receiver, good speed. I think he did catch a deep ball on his in the matchup last year. But so a nice player there at wide receiver. They're tight ends. It's kind of funny because tight ends for them used to be such like a Briley Moore, but they always had, other good players in that spot. But just nothing really there. Running back room is completely new again. And offensive line, that offensive line coach that I think he played at Oregon and then was at UNI for 8 years. And he's been with Campbell at Iowa State for the last 3-4. And then he went with Campbell out to Penn State now. But anyways, ever since he left, UNI's offensive line just hasn't been the same. Recruiting wise, development wise, any of it. So that's where really the biggest fall off, I think, personally, when I look at their team. They just don't have any offensive linemen like they used to.
Well, that was their, like was stated by Seth, that was their whole identity, right? It was going to be a brawl when you went and played them, and you'd win, but it was going to be tight, and they're going to play great defense, and you lost that when Farley left, and they were, they got funding and everything else that's tough. So yeah, I really don't have high hopes for him. One of the interesting things is, when you're at media days, a lot of the coaches bring up how good the coaching is. And I think I got in at the end of UNI and asked Stepsis about that because he had brought it up. And he said, and I said, what about it? What impact did the coaching have? Did you have to adjust to that? And he said, I think we got taken out of our game plan. Like people took things away really quickly that we wanted to do. And that was really difficult to deal with. That was, a major factor that we had a difficulty with. And so I'm curious to see how they adjust or if they have those issues continue.
Yeah, I thought that was super interesting too, Brendan. Not that we want to spend a time in UNI necessarily, which is wild to say like 5-6 years ago, right?
Right.
But the thing that sticks out to me is just their defense, and talk about them being just a smash mouth volleyball team in the past, and their defense. John Powers, who was at media day, if there was ever a UNI linebacker, it was John Powers, and I mean that just you meet the kid, just like his face, his body, his tone. He talked like he is kind of straight off the farm sort of thing. And it's like, yeah, that kid plays linebacker for UNI sort of thing.
That's awesome.
They got Juwan Jackson. He had a nice season for him last year at DB. He's back. But other than that, you can't build a linebacker around one, or a defense around one linebacker and a DB. It's just tough.
Yep.
Yeah, but hey, they get to play at Kinnick, so there's that.
Yeah, they talked about that
that's going to be
extensively
ugly.
too. They're the I almost felt bad. Like the
It is
Cedar
Iowa,
Falls,
man.
the Cedar Falls media kept bringing it up. That's all they wanted to talk about was the Iowa games. Like this is like your guys' like hometown media. It's all they care about is one game on your schedule. Anyhow,
I mean, we know how the media can be. They might talk about something that's completely irrelevant to your league more than they talk about the league itself.
don't know what you're referencing, Chad.
No, me either. See me on Thursday. Anyway.
Oh, Chad. All
Can't
right.
help himself.
Yeah, Alex, where are we going next?
Southern Illinois would be next on the list.
Okay. Well, tee us off with Southern Illinois. Obviously,
So-
the great quarterback.
Obviously, DJ Williams. I actually want to go a different route because shame on me. So we're sitting there in the press conference, and I asked Coach Hill. I said, and I think Coach Hill talked to us beforehand. Good to see you guys. Brent, I had a good talk to him last year, so maybe thought I was in gooder graces than I was. But I said, Coach Hill, you guys narrowly missed out on the playoffs last year. Like, what is there any game like you're already like thinking about install? Like, hey, it's a game of inches. This game, there's going to be a couple yards here or there we need to find to put it over the edge. Whether that's the war for the wheel with SEMO, which is one of the best rivalries in the FCS. I said, or one of the bigger in conference games. Is there anything you're looking at? And he gave me the very football coach answer and said the next one. We got to go down to West Florida week 0 and win a football game. So
yeah, that'll be a good game.
And that will be a good game, but I don't know what I expected there. But yeah, obviously DJ Williams is like the talking piece. This team will go how DJ Williams goes. Talking with some of their defensive players and coaches, it sounds like, it's interesting to hear them say they almost know with how good their offense is going to be. They only need to hold the opposing team to like the low to mid 20s. And it's like, okay, that's fair, but it's just so different typically than what you hear a lot of the times, right? It's almost like an old school Big 12 team. It's like, if we hold them under 30, we'll win because we're going to play basketball on AstroTurf. But maybe that's their game plan this year. But obviously, you guys can talk about DJ Williams more. I won't take all the talking points because that dude is getting NFL talk for a reason.
I mean, he walked in and he was bigger than the linebacker that he walked in with.
Yeah, he towered over Chris Presho.
Was he there with Presho?
Yeah. So that guy's a big dude, and he has some broad shoulders and is like pure muscle. So yeah, he's athletic.
Yeah. One player that I'm kind of excited to see this year is Lem Walsh. I don't know if you guys remember his story, but he was a quarterback at Tennessee Tech for 2 years, backup quarterback for USD for a year, washed out, disappeared, and then showed back up at SIU last year and converted to a running back. Only had 112 yards, but still, just like when he flashed up last year, seeing that name, I was like,
Nick Hill actually brought him up on his own. Said he's going to be kind of a gadget player, but they are going to use him this year.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, off of Alex's point with how they were talking on defense, if you were to tell me a team in the Valley said that and you did not mention who it was, I would say Southern Illinois. And that's not a very Valley way to say things, but I think Nick Hill is incredible at recognizing what his team is going to be really good at and what his team is not going to be the strongest at, what they're going to have to do to win games. Because SIU's had years where they were defense oriented and you're going, man, if they just had better play here or their offense was a little better and putting up more points, they'd be great. And then there's been years where every time you played him, it was a track meet, because their offense was incredible. And he's not married to a philosophy of we're going to be great on defense. He's not married to we're going to be great on offense. He's going to get his best players, recognize, what those players give him the best path to win is, and he's going to utilize it. And, sometimes they have up and down, success with that, but overall they've been consistently one of the best teams in the Valley, and it doesn't surprise me that they would lean into that with the way they do things.
I mean, they were just a few points shy of an excellent season last year with some key injuries. I could see good things. They're going to be a top 3-4 team. Sure.
A Jackrabbit connection. Jake Perella, his brother Alex played here at South Dakota State. So I believe his dad, John, right, is a Nebraska legend. Is that right, Alex? Is that true, false? I don't know.
He played
Maybe
there.
not.
Legend might be a little strong.
Legend's strong. Yeah. That's right. But Alex was a Jackrabbit, or is a Jackrabbit. So, yeah, there's your connection.
Oh, yeah. No, I have them having a really good year this year. The way their schedule plays out, a lot of their toughest games are at home. Realistically, I don't have Illinois State in my top 3 in the Valley just with what they lost personally.
What?
Yeah, I don't.
I don't think that's a hot take, but we'll get there.
I don't think so either.
Yeah,
That's super
they lost
hot
a lot. I have them probably the fourth best team power rankings in my mind. But they still get them at home. They get SDSU at home. They get Youngstown at home. The War for the Wheel games at home. Their toughest road games at UND. That'll be difficult. I think UND takes them there. But other than that, I mean, really, you've got UND and at USD. The rest of the most difficult conference games are at home. They're spaced out kind of nice. So you have Indiana State in the middle of those games and Indiana State in the middle of those games. So you don't have a great run of all those teams. I think it all lays out pretty nice for that game against SDSU and the game at UND to be humongous games at the end of the season for them.
Interesting.
I'm telling you, I think they get third because they lose a tiebreaker to UND at the end of the year playing in Grand Forks. I think that game will be for second place in the conference.
Wow. Okay. I love it.
It's my hot take for the day.
Next, we will head down the interstate to Vermilion.
All right. So they got a team this year.
So
They
the
will
biggest
play
thing,
football.
yeah, the biggest thing is they got to choose a quarterback, right?
Yeah,
Right.
And
And we don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
It sounded like them knew at Media Day who he was going with already. As weird as that is to say, because the way he phrased it, he said, all three guys bring something different. But we're, as much as we loved Aiden, I felt like our offense has been missing the ability to throw from a moving pocket as well as incorporate some zone read and run stuff. He said, and we gotta work on. We got a young team with a lot of new pieces, which is only a hot take, I guess, if Brendan says it. But
yeah,
he said,
thanks, Alex, sticking up for me, buddy.
He said, we got a young team with a lot of new pieces, so we got to get our ones a lot of reps together in camp. He said, so it's going to be an open competition, but it's going to be like 1-2 weeks, and we're off and running. Personally, it wouldn't shock me if it's Majeski or Kremascoli, obviously. But if you look at kind of how he described that, Proctor was not afraid to use his legs when he played at Dartmouth. You don't bring a guy in as a mercenary in his last year if you don't make some sort of guarantees concession of, hey, it's your job to lose. Not to say it, like I said, obviously it could be one of the other two guys. It would really shock me if it's Kremascoli. Not to take anything away from it. Sounds like by all means, people from that program, he's a good kid, good head on his shoulders, but anytime you see him in the game, he's just been so unimpressive, even with the other number twos. I mean, there's nothing that would get me excited about him if I was a Yote fan. Whereas I can still see Majeski, but like I said, it would really shock me if it's not Jackson Proctor. And there's a whole lot else to talk about on this team too, but I'm sure you guys have your thoughts on that as well.
I mean, what it sounds like to me is not much depth, and we're going to run the ball even with their quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Here's my thing on the quarterback thing. There's a lot of he's been quoted as saying many times that we're going to be moving a guy into the number one reps after week one.
Yep.
You're not doing that if we're not sure who we're going to play. Like we got one other guy we're going to give a chance. And I'm kind of wondering almost the opposite, Alex, if, there was, you bring Proctor in, like you said, there's conversations that you're going to be the front runner, whatever. Spring ball.
Bad spring.
Yeah, had a bad spring. Majeski comes in and, he was the front runner. So, all right, well, we're not going to call it now, but we're going to give you 1 week in camp to prove that you're what we thought we were bringing in. And if it's not you, then we're going with who's going to give us the best chance to win. That's more the flavor I get from that situation. Otherwise there's no real great reason to only do 1 week. Yeah. You'd think it'd be 2 and then we choose. There's nothing really harmful with going, we're going to do 2 weeks and then decide.
Yep.
You're pretty, like you said, Alex, I agree. I think he's definitely got someone in mind who he wants to. I'm very proud of myself. in that press conference because I don't remember the name of the kid who was there. He was one of their wide receivers.
Tyson Bowes, probably.
Tyson Bowes, yeah, the
Tyson
young
was
looking kid.
the urge to look at him and just go, well, coach hasn't decided who he wants to be quarterback. Who do you want? Just put him on the spot. That'd have been just some nasty, dirty shit to do.
That would have been a dirty but funny thing to do.
It'd have been funny.
Alex
but
and I would have had a hard
couldn't
time
do it.
keeping straight faces if you could have said that.
just
It would have been funny as hell.
but I couldn't do it. Yeah, so that's my take on their quarterback situation.
You know, and obviously they're going to want to run the ball, like we just said. They lost offensive line again, but they brought in some massive guys.
They did. They brought in some guys that were good D2 players, highly recruited guys that maybe haven't played at the FBS level. It's kind of going to be a shake of the dice thing, but the bodies are there.
Yes. Yep. So we'll see. They brought a lot of bodies into the room to make competition, and what it's going to be, we have no idea right now. But at least there's going to have a solid duo at least of running backs that are going to be toting the rock. Charles Pierre is back. Keandre Jones-Logan is back. Did I say that right? And then Reed Watkins, who was a nice little player last year at times for them too, is back. So we'll see. They always have a decent running back down there at USD. I like that freshman they brought in, Courtney Rivers, but they won't see him, I'm sure, this year. But Tyson Bowes is their only real established option at wide receiver too. Jesse Miller was okay as a pass catcher last year at tight end, but offensively they're going to want to run the ball. And if that's just where they're at.
Yeah. There's not going to be a complicated game plan with their offense because it's going to be to try to force them to throw the ball and prove whoever the quarterback is, prove that he can sling it. And their wide receivers prove they can catch it.
Yep.
So they had, and some of it you could talk going from an offensive to defensive head coach, or I should say vice versa. But keep in mind, Vitzlum was the play caller last year. And they had the best pocket passer in the history of their school. And they still did not want to throw the ball more than like 15, 20 times a game if they had to. Yep. That's just their MO. And we've had that too before. And it works when it works. It's just going to be maybe extra urgent as opposed to years past. Anything you want to talk about on the defense for them before we jump on here? I feel like we've spent a ton of time on their offense.
Absolutely. I want to talk about their defense. I think that's the biggest question mark for me.
And that's why I brought it up.
I mean, this is a little bit Chris Kleiman-esque leaving NDSU. Johansson was the architect, heart, and soul of that defense. And if anybody thought he didn't have his fingerprints all over that, even as the head coach, you're lying to yourself. Mm-hmm. So, and when it came to replacing guys and everything else and how they're going to fit, how we're going to call it up, how's that going to be different with an offensive head coach? I have questions about them. They've had a stout defense the last, few years for sure, but I was with Johansson there. So how's that going to turn out for him? I'm real curious to see. They're talking about how they're going to have the best D-line in the nation, or if not the one of, which is a bold ass statement to say at a press conference.
So interesting because I really like their linebacker core, but obviously then the one guy was one of their edge rushers in the room, so I get it. You're gonna talk yourself up. I'm not faulting him for that.
No.
And I didn't say you were. But I actually really like their linebacking core. But I think it's a huge question mark whether they can keep those guys clean, because that's the biggest thing. If or watch football at a high level, is linebackers are good when they can flow to the football and have a clean line of sight to the ball carrier, or on a blitz, clean alley to run and make a play. And if you don't have good D-line play in front of those linebackers, it makes their life tough. It makes me think of, ironically enough, the 2022 USD team. They had, was Cochran there still? I know they had Brock Mogensen, a couple other guys that were all NFL guys, but their D-line was terrible.
Yep.
and those guys just couldn't make plays.
Yeah. I mean, the one player that I think on their D line that's a stud, maybe one of the best defensive tackles in the league is Chris Dixon. Like,
Yeah,
I think he's a
yeah.
really good player. I
He's
think that
kind of-
kid that
They play that odd front, so he plays a lot of head up
Yep.
to shade, but he's really good. Yeah, I don't want
Yeah.
to take that away from him at all.
Yeah.
I think he's best as an edge rusher, honestly.
No.
You don't
Dixon?
think so? Yeah.
He's slow.
Yeah. He's a space eater. Like, he's a big stout kid. Yeah. But they brought in Jeff Bowie, that Iowa transfer last year. He was really good early in the year, and then I think he got hurt because we didn't see him. He only played in 4 games last year. So I'm not sure if that was like a planned redshirt deal or if it just medical or what, but good player. They brought in Isaiah Ray, D2 standout. I think Bemidji,
Yeah, and they're super high on him.
Yeah,
But
good player. So
I worry about him being an every down guy sort of thing.
yeah,
Just seemed like a little bit I've watched on him. He just seems like really good at getting after the quarterback, but if you run right at him, you can take him out of a game sort of guy.
So yeah, like Tomaszewski, Lappery, those guys have played, but they're gonna have to play more this year. They're not just rotation guys anymore. They're gonna have to play a lot more snaps than they have in the past.
And I get they play kind of that goofy stand up front sometimes, but that was the biggest thing, honestly, with Lappery standing in the room with them is he's not much bigger than me, and I'm not small. You know, I'm 6'1", 220, but I'm also not a Division I football player.
Yep.
Playing D-line.
Right.
Playing D-line.
You know, and then on the back end, they bring back Tim White. He was injured most of the year. They brought in a bunch of transfers at safety, especially, right? So I guess RJ Stewart, DJ Kennard, they're back. Those were really good players last year for
Stewart's
them.
a really good player on the back end there.
So I mean, they do have talent. It's just maybe not the same type of star power we've seen. I don't know if that's, but they'll be okay. But without Johansson, like you said earlier, Brennan, like that's the big question mark. So.
Well, and that was kind of their hallmark, right? Is a really good defense, ball control offense. You're going to need that really good. You're really going to want that really good defense part when you've got a new starting quarterback and you've got a whole passel of new receivers who, Aiden Bauman with the receivers they had who left had a hard time getting into a rhythm on the year until midway through or so, and you look at their schedule, man, Northern Colorado's kind of on the up a little bit compared to what they used to be. Should have beat USD in the Dome, and your second game's there. And then you've got Eastern Washington, who's not great, but they were improving at the end of last year. You should win that one, but then it's at Boise State, at Youngstown State. Then you get Indiana State, but then Southern Illinois. You best come out of that with 4 wins. If you don't come out of that with 4 wins, your season is toast, in my opinion, because you still got North Dakota, USD, Illinois State at the end of the year. If they cannot afford to drop the Northern Colorado game. They cannot afford to drop any non-con game besides Boise State because I think they're kind of behind the 8 ball when it comes to that. And if they have a slow start where they try to gel again, I think this schedule is a much more bumpier start than they had in the last year.
Yep.
I don't know if that's entirely fair, but I think a lot of these teams, as you're maybe alluding to, are tougher than you think. Even Central Connecticut, you didn't mention, they were a playoff team last year. It's an NEC team, but
any Missouri Valley team who is going to be a playoff team should beat the NEC champion by a couple touchdowns.
Yeah.
And I said that in our
Pretty
group chat. You know, I
confidently.
said that almost verbatim.
I know. I'm putting it out there because I've seen some comments of that. Oh, this CCSU game's pretty tough.
Yes.
It's like,
it feels like people are hedging on it, right? Like,
right. Like you shouldn't. Like, boy, I hope you're not hedging on the CCSU game. Like,
exactly.
And it was funny because you could see Coach Vitz was exhausted from talking about who left, which is Aiden Bauman. of course. I don't think he was getting a lot of questions about replacing his left guard.
Which is the nature of football, right?
Right. But I said, all right, who are you most excited about? And he named some of the receivers and whatnot. But a lot of the conversation about them reminds me of how Minnesota Vikings fans talk about the Vikings. All these weapons. Yeah. Oh, yeah, our defense sucked and our O-line was terrible. But they're laughing at everybody else in the NFC North because nobody can touch our wide receiver room. It just has that vibe, and it makes me laugh. I'm not saying they're going to have a bad O-line, but it's most certainly a question mark, which is a big deal when you're going to be a run-first team. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. They're really going to be interesting to watch this year because they've had 2 playoff runs right in their history, and they had their all-time legendary quarterbacks for each one. They had Chris Streveler and Aiden Bauman. They've never done anything without those 2 guys. And what's more significant is there's a gap in there, right? So it's not like, oh, they're starting to churn out quarterbacks. It was, we got a good quarterback. We made the playoffs, started turning this thing around, lost him, kind of went back in the shitter a little bit, got Aiden Bauman, got better, made the playoffs, 3 times. So it's a big deal. Yeah, gave Rhode Island all they wanted twice. Yeah, the hollow shell of the CAA does not impress me.
Right. Hey, should we move on to YSU? Is that it, Alex?
Sure.
Next?
North Dakota, actually.
North Dakota? Really? This is shocking. I don't know. All right, North Dakota. Their defense, right, is kind of the headline here. Kaminsky's everyone wants to talk about quarterback, but to me, it's their defense. Rucker and what's the other defensive end's name? Can't remember his name. But
I don't know. Lance Rucker's a big boy, though.
Rucker
Yeah,
is
we talk about the opposite end. Oh my gosh, that guy who looked big standing behind the table, then he got up to leave. Shook everyone's hand and say thank you. It's like, oh hi, Mr. Rucker. I feel inappropriate calling you anything else.
It'll be really interesting to hear or see what happens.
Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
Vig. Yep. Vig. Thank you. It'll be really interesting to hear what happens with the eligibility of their 2 D-backs. Johnny Wiltshire is excellent.
It sounds like Wiltshire has a chance, and the other guy is just cooked, from what I've been seeing.
Okay. Interesting. But that Wiltshire's the big one, anyways.
Yeah.
That they want to get because he kind of plays that slot star role, kind of.
Nickel safety hybrid sort of thing.
Yep. And he just had a really nice year last year. So he was on my all-conference team because UND still had him on the roster. So I didn't even realize he probably didn't have eligibility. Now he does. So kind of cool for him. Wiltshire was practicing yesterday. Thank you, Cody. So what else? What else we need to know about these guys?
So
I think they go as far as Kaminsky takes them.
Yeah, that's going to be the hot topic, right? Kaminsky's kind of that outer edge. Everyone talks about DJ Williams and Chase Mason and Bo Brungard. Then, depending on who you talk to, some people throw Kaminsky in that group, some don't. It's interesting.
And what do you do, Alex?
I kind of don't personally. He obviously won some of the awards. I think it was the Big Air and some other stuff at the Manning Passing Academy this summer. So obviously the arm talent's there, but Kevin said he's, you Chase, DJ are big dudes, and Bo's not huge. But then you talk to Kaminsky, and it's like, you're a sophomore in college. I mean, he's just a skinny little thing. But obviously the dude can spin it, and he's a good football player. But the decision-making needs to get better, especially with, they lose Gavin Zebarth and some of the experienced guys in that running back room. He's going to have to carry a lot. They've got Dang and some other good receivers coming back for him to throw it to. But the down-to-down consistency for him is going to have to be there because they should have a solid defense. But he's probably going to be asked to do a little bit more this year than he was last year. And if he had played a little better last year, they might have been a top 8 seed.
Yeah. But see, the one thing you talk about their wide receivers, Alex, Ding Dang, I think is going to be awesome. But he's losing his security blanket, BJ Fleming.
Yeah.
And BJ Fleming went out in that first half of the game with us, or maybe not first half, but he went out, and their offense shifted drastically when BJ Fleming was no longer available to him. So that's just something to point out. But I don't know. Offensively, I don't know what else they have right now. A lot of unproven stuff.
Here's my thing with Dang Dang too. Not to take anything.
He's even unproven.
Well, so he's a deep ball threat, but he cannot run the full route tree, or at least he has not yet shown the ability to. Maybe this year he'll be cutting on dimes and taking slant yards, 70 yards to the house, and that will be a great thing for UND if he does. But he, so far to his point in his career, has just been a throw it up and run under it, back shoulder kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Everyone's getting distracted by Taco in the comments here.
No.
Gotta talk though. Like offensive line, they're going to be good again. Yeah. Liam Becker's very good. He's huge, 6'7", 317. Ben Buxa, 6'3", 306. Started a lot of games. I think Matthew Schoenecker has played quite a bit too for them. So they have a lot of experience there along the offensive line that's really going to help as these new skill players kind of step into bigger roles this year.
I think they brought back the most snaps on the offensive line. I don't know that it's necessarily the most experience because, we have some people that got hurt, and so they lost some snaps. But
okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty high on UND this year. Freshman year to sophomore year, that's a pretty big jump in experience to have a full season under your belt, right? I mean, we watched, I'm not saying Kaminsky's Mark Gronowski, but we've watched, we saw that leap that made for him to have a year. I think he's going to be quite a bit better when you've got an O-line like theirs. I think that goes a long ways in the Valley. I think offensively in the Valley, your O-line should almost be weighted as heavily as your quarterback when it comes to success in this league. And you got guys like, Zach McKinnell picking him as the best O-line in the conference, or top 2 best. And that's a huge deal. You look at their schedule.
As they should be.
Yeah, and they should be for sure. So I think that's a huge deal. You can figure it out with weapons and security blankets and who you're more comfortable with and everything. If you got no line to give you time and open holes for a run game, you're in pretty good shape.
Mm-hmm.
You look at their schedule. They get SDSU at home. They get Southern Illinois at home. They get Illinois State at home. Their only really top tier road game in the conference is Youngstown State. So I think that lines up really well for them. If you want to throw USD in there because that's a rivalry game for them and they play poorly down in the Dome, then you're free to throw that in there. But with the way their schedule lays out, I think they're in a great spot to be challenging for first place in the conference and a top 4 seed potentially if SDSU slips up.
The one interesting thing Coach Schmidt said that I actually asked Lance Rucker originally, and he kind of like, I think this is what you're saying, and I agree, is them having, very good bookend pass rush DNs and probably the second best front 7 in the Valley and a top 10 unit in the FCS. Is you got to play all these really good offenses in the Valley. That almost quickly becomes a strength because then they should, it should keep them in more games to allow Kaminsky to make some of those plays. Bob asked, do you think Kaminsky's success at the passing academy can improve his game? Absolutely. I mean, it won't hurt it, right? You're going in there with all those other big names, Arch Manning's obviously there. Lincoln Keen Holes is a name people who watch our show recognize. You got that caliber of guy there, and you're hanging right there with him. Like, I don't know, that'd make me feel good.
Yeah, certainly doesn't hurt your confidence at all, does it?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, going back to when he ended up being a quarterback, didn't they have all sorts of? I forget at the beginning of last season.
So Romfro,
all sorts of tomfoolery with Romfro and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where he was going to play and he wasn't going to
yeah.
play and he was going to start and he wasn't going to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing was weird at the start of last year.
Yeah, I mean, that can't hurt to know that you're the guy through you get a full spring to be the guy. You've got the full summer, you're the guy working with these guys, and then into fall camp. That's got to improve your confidence, your decision making, your comfort level with your receiving core, all that stuff. So I would have to think that would in itself would lend to a pretty good jump in play from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was just going ahead, Matt.
Nope, I have not. Nope.
I was just gonna say, didn't they have a player gain eligibility with the new ruling too?
That's what we talked about at the start here,
I
Chad.
missed that.
With Wiltshire. Yep, Johnny.
Welcome to the party, pal.
I was looking up. I was trying to figure out what USD player I was thinking of. Obviously, wasn't the 320-pound boy.
The one thing we haven't even talked about, Mitch McLean brings back, is the return of Danny Freund.
Yes, old friend.
I don't know. I think there's mixed good and bad with that. Also, probably have some sour grapes from the 1 year he was here and how I thought the offense played under him when he was here. But obviously, a lot of those guys are familiar with that system because he was there as recently as 3 years ago. So some of those upperclassmen are going to be familiar with him. But it is going to be a different system, which will be interesting to watch. Because Freund, I don't know, I guess may as well just say it. My biggest gripe with Freund is it is somehow complex for complexity's sake and entirely predictable. Like, I don't know how he manages to be both, but a lot of the time it seems like his play calling is. It's overly complex and still somehow predictable.
I still don't know if it was him or handcuffs or what, but
true,
it seemed like him, but we don't know.
The Washington State offense was similar last year, though. But same coaching staff, so that's fair. You're on mute, Matt.
Yeah, let's go to Youngstown, huh?
Yeah, let's.
Bo's gonna run guard all over the yard. And,
I can't.
Boo!
I can't believe they're third, like in the standings. I know I said the middle, you could kind of shake it out, however. So it shouldn't be shocking because he's the best player in the FCS. But man, it's all new. There's nothing returning around him at all.
Yeah.
It's all new.
No, losing Flash Wilson was big.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think getting them early in the year is going to be good.
Agreed.
Before those new pieces get a chance to really gel and get going.
Yep.
The big thing is I was probably a little higher on them than I should have been to start the year. I've been working on some advanced numbers and stuff lately. Go figure, right?
Nerd.
Their defense was not spectacular last year, truthfully.
It's amazing they beat Southern Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, their offense was so good relative to how bad their defense was. I'm trying to find an equivalent based upon the advanced numbers here. A rough equivalent would be how good our defense was relative to our offense after we lost Chase. I mean, really, that's almost a direct comparison. They were winning a lot of close games solely because of Bo Brungard. And the good news is he's back. But they had a lot of turnover on that defense, which, as we just talked about, is not maybe a bad thing when you turn over a high number of players from a bad unit. Yeah, Kevin Marshall goes, as you're talking, Yale just scored again. Obviously blowing that game in the playoffs. But that's going to be something they need to figure out if they're going to beat good teams consistently. Because with a guy like Bo Brungard, You're going to be in every game. But if you want to consistently win those games, you got to have a defense, at least replacement level. And that was not who they were last year. They had a bad defense last year that a good offense covered up a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. But again, the one defensive guy that is back is Mike Wells, solid linebacker.
And Mike Wells is a really good linebacker.
Yes.
I don't want to take that away at all.
Yep. But he can't do it himself, right?
No.
And this isn't anything new for YSU. Their secondary has been awful for a long time now.
3 or 4 years now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not anything new. They just can't get it fixed. So I don't know what their deal is, because they usually have some decent linebackers, decent pass rush, but a god-awful secondary. So I do want to shout out one of their offensive linemen, Desmail Lee, huge offensive tackle. He definitely could have gone somewhere and got paid this year, but chose to come back to YSU, and that's cool, I think. So good for him.
Yeah. I look, you talk about YSU and their defensive issues. That's an issue against the top teams in the conference this year.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem. And you're at SDSU, you're at Southern Illinois, and then you get North Dakota at home and Illinois State at home. So that's concerning, especially with how tight the Southern Illinois game was last year at home. I think defense travels better. And, with a team like that, where you're talking about a Youngstown State with a not great defense is not a good matchup against a team that's like, well, if we can hold you under 25, we could probably win. That's not ideal.
That game is just going to be a basketball score.
Oh, it's going to be so fun. As a rule of thumb, I hate games like that. But once in a while, it's really fun. Like just those Looney Tunes nutso games. Like, God, who was the one out in California in the playoffs was it the Davis and Incarnate Word game?
Yes.
4 or 5 years ago.
Sac State Incarnate Word.
Oh God, I wasn't even drinking that game. I was drunk after that. That was so fun. It's just from a schedule perspective, it's okay, but you get your top 2 toughest teams on the road early in the season. When you're replacing a bunch of people, that's tough. Out of conference is a wash, rinse, repeat for Youngstown State. It's NEC teams and Kentucky for whatever reason. But then,
that's a pretty close road trip. It's only like 3 hours.
Yeah. I suppose that makes sense. Huh? I forget how close everything is out there. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my take on them. I think Bo Brungard's too good for them to not make the playoffs or anything. I think they end up 8-3, comfortably in, but I don't, they'll be like a 12 or 14 seed instead of what you would expect bringing back the Walter Payton Award winner. You would think that you'd be fighting for a top 8 seed, but those margins are going to be so close this year in the conference between these top teams with these hot rod quarterbacks and offenses that it's going to come down to things that's not the quarterback.
Well, and when a guy runs as much as Bo, and he's shown that he's durable, but at some point that kind of catches up to you. I don't think he's had a lot of health issues. If they lose Bo.
No, he's been healthy, but that's an excellent point, Chuck. Because Brendan and I talked about it on Scared Money at one point last year. It was like the second week in conference play, and he had like 200 some odd carries already. It's like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Well, that's all you got, Alex.
He still ended the year as the leading rusher on the team, didn't he?
Yes.
And both carries and yards.
They've got to find a running back, man. Like, think how crazy dangerous he'd be if they had a running back.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be Matthew Saluka.
He'd be like FCS Tim Tebow or something.
Yeah.
Bob does bring an interesting question up here. If Brungard can get a great team behind him, how could he realistically improve his individual play? He got a lot better as a pocket passer last year, but he still has some room to go. Just because he is a shorter guy, the arm strength is tough, but I don't know how much you can improve that. There's a certain level of that's just genetics, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he still has room to improve as a passer too. I think he will some. I think he's going to be incredibly dangerous this year.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right, let's go to Illinois State.
Ooh, the one of contention. Look how excited Matt is. He's like, I'm gonna rip this guts out. He's
I am. I got this. So, okay, here's the thing. They lose their quarterback, right? Who wasn't that good anyways. He was fine. He was a fine FCS quarterback.
He's Schrodinger's ton of interceptions.
So he's Schrodinger's Tommy Rittenhouse, because like he would make 2 throws a game, and it would be like, who are you throwing that to? And then he would make 2 throws a game where it's like, holy crap, how did he do that?
Yeah. So
the answer is Sobkowitz.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel Sobkowitz did not hurt that equation. That's true.
Yes. But besides Sobkowitz, they do bring back Dylan Lord and Luke Maylander, like 2 excellent young wide receivers. They were very good. Go ahead.
How good is Lord going to be as the number 1 guy when you don't have Sobkowitz on the other side of the field? Is kind of
you have Maylander on the other side. You're okay.
I'm trying to remember. Lord's the one who popped off in the national title game.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
What other games did he pop off in?
He had a good playoff run. He was good throughout the whole
kind
playoffs.
of the conversation. Is like he was good for like 4 games in the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
like,
he did. He was kind of hit and miss in the regular season.
I'm not sold. I mean, he's not. I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna stand on it right now that he's not going to be Daniel Sobkowitz.
Sure. I don't think anyone's expecting him to be.
No.
Right, but we kind of forget a little bit. I think because they made the national title game. They just made the playoffs.
Yes.
Like
true.
They're better
if
on
they
the
lose
road.
first. If they lose the first round, or say they lose in the second round, we're going. I don't think it's I can't believe you don't have them top 3. I don't think that's the conversation at all. And I'm not taking away from what they did. It was phenomenal. It was historic. Nobody's ever won 4 road games before. But besides beating NDSU, that bracket kind of laid down for him after that.
UC Davis was tough.
Davis was tough, but still you're in the second round, 8 seed you're facing, and then you're facing the 12 seed in the semifinals.
Yeah, they got kind of lucky on the back end.
Lucky in the drum.
I mean, and I'm not even saying lucky. I'm just saying that
part of that is though you earned that by upsetting the 1 seed.
They earned it by upsetting the 1 seed for sure.
100%.
But I'm just not sold on them replacing Rittenhouse, who I know he wasn't. He's not top. He wouldn't have if he was returning this year. I wouldn't have him as top 4 quarterback. I don't think.
No.
On the same token, I'm pretty doubtful of that offense right now.
But they are bringing back Victor Dawson, man, who was terrific last year. Seth Glatz as the second option, and a huge offensive line still coming back. Like I think the quarterback they're bringing in, this Gage Roy, USC, was only played in 3 games, but so who knows what the hell he is? But he's a Texas product, so I mean he can probably sling it. We'll see. I don't know. Like that's the big That's the big question. Like, can they be about as competent as Rittenhouse was?
Well,
right.
Do you lose some of the wow with some of the head scratchers? And if we're attributing some of the wow to the Daniel Sobkowitz, then I don't think
100%.
you can, though, kind of answers the question.
That's true. Yeah.
I think they probably have the highest variance of the top 4 or 5 teams, that tier of programs where I could look like an absolute clown show for what I'm saying here. But I tend to lean towards myself because of my fancy little heat map schedule.
All right, yeah, fill us in on the schedule. Do that.
So fill you in on the schedule. Out of conference is Babytown Frolics. They're playing every other Illinois team this year. They play St. Francis, then they're at Western Illinois, at Northern Illinois, versus Eastern Illinois, and then they play
Jeez.
Southern Illinois. They literally play every Illinois team, which shout out for them. I mean, why not?
That's kind of cool.
When are they going to Champaign?
It is kind of neat. Oh, they're not playing. They're playing all the directions. They're not playing the Illini.
They're going to DeKalb.
Yep. But of your top 4 other teams, SDSU, Southern Illinois, North Dakota, Youngstown State, they only have one of those games at home. Granted, they do their best work on the road. But after their bye, it goes versus SDSU, at Southern Illinois, Indiana State, Murray at home, then at North Dakota, at Youngstown State, and then USD at home. That's a tough stretch there, especially going UND, Youngstown State back to back, in my opinion. And I think if I was them, I'd prefer to lead with Youngstown State than UND, because I think the UND game will be more physical and is a tougher place to play than the Ice Castle, which might ruffle some feathers because Penguins have feathers, Ben.
He doesn't watch any show he's not part of anyway. So
one of my favorite. That's one of my all-time favorite lines from any of the shows we've done over 7 years.
Cheese?
That and pocket cheese. Gosh.
Hey, I had some pocket cheese the other day. It was fantastic.
Oh gosh.
All
All right.
nasty job. I can't really do that anymore. It's a shame.
The only thing I was going to add, we haven't talked about 2 things. The defense will be really good. Obviously, the Niekamp brothers, Ty and Dexter, leading the charge there. They're going to be tough. And to that point, their dad's the D coordinator. I was just looking through their coaching staff. It's a really experienced staff, which you don't get a lot of times, right? Because like assistants are usually trying to move up or go somewhere else or whatever. All those guys have been there for a couple of years now. So I do think that's something maybe I'm personally overlooking a little bit, is they're going to be a well-coached team. And obviously we know that with the head man, but even just going down through the coaching staff roster, all those guys have been there a while, and they're going to be sound.
Agreed. Oh. Well, cool. Tiny Camp, LaShawn Brown. Those are the names I wrote down for them. So 2 very good players in that defense. So, guys, this is crazy. We are not far away. We are in the month of football now. By the end of the month, we'll have a game.
Yeah,
I know.
Can't come soon enough.
I am under 20 days from Friday nights. I just kind of doing some of that math after we worked that camp earlier last week. I was like, yeah, that's coming up. So I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Just some general housekeeping. Tailgating this year, like we said earlier, you guys will have a new spot, maybe a new tent.
Actually.
We'll have some turf that we purchased. Excited about that.
Yes.
So as soon as we have
The
more
logo.
information, we will get that out so people know what to expect for tailgating. Thank you to all of our sponsors. These guys rattled off before when I was having the IT issues. This week coming out, I think I said I'm doing the offensive previews this week. Thank you to Ben for proofreading for me, making some edits ahead of time instead of texting me 5 minutes after they come out. And then the following week's going to be defense. So next week's podcast we'll just focus on the offense, just wrap up the week. The following Sunday we'll do defense. And then after that, then it's into our normal kind of rhythm schedule. So yeah, very excited about that. Excited to be back. Season number 10.
Yes, Cody will
Jackrabbit
still
Illustrated.
be in the backyard. Season 10, Matt, a decade.
Yeah, wild.
That is incredible. A testament to the Podfather himself. A decade.
Wild. So, Alex, what do you got? Do you got any stuff coming out for the season here?
I should try to have some MVFC stuff for here, and I am hopefully, if my life allows me to. I said life, not wife, but she's a big factor in that too. Help out Kevin with a few things on the Valley side this year too. I'm excited about that. And Timothy and I are going to do a advanced stats for the feeble-minded podcast in the next week or so here. So
that is specifically directed at me.
I'm here for it.
Oh man, the punishment you're gonna have when you lose this year in the picks is gonna be.
There's a revamped Kenkel model if you haven't heard.
Yeah,
I still, yeah. I just think we should do or I'm not even a part of it, so I'm not going to put it out there. But from
you should.
Game of Thrones, the shame scene with the bells and stuff.
So,
I think we should have whoever does that march through the backyard and we follow around.
We talked about that one year.
Okay, so here's the one that I sent Ben that he's really on board with, and I think we can blend this perfectly with yours, Matt. You'll love it. We get a Hobo Day float, and the loser has to ride the float, and we pull coolers full of water balloons for people to throw at him and yell shame while he goes through the Hobo Day.
And it's not going to be warm.
Will they allow that?
And it's going to say Jackrabbit Illustrated, I suck at picking games.
Yes, I like that. That's a good one.
Maybe make him wear the hot dog costume while we do it, because I still have it. I spent way too much on that damn thing.
I know Ben was just gonna leave it on the car down in Texas. Yeah,
it's like $100 costume.
That's what Brendan's been for 5 Halloweens now.
Right.
Oh, funny. All right, thanks guys for doing this tonight. This has been good. Chad,
Thursday.
Oh yeah, Thursday. Oh yeah, thanks. Thursday. We will be recording with John Gaskins. He had the Halloween podcast guys earlier or last week, and everyone was up in arms that we weren't on. It's okay. He reached out. Just life's busy, so we had to find a date that worked for everyone. So yeah,
we appreciate you guys giving him hell for it, though. BT Mafia never sleeps.
Say, don't be afraid to check that out. Mark and Chad and Jordan are all good dudes too. I've gotten to know each of them. So
yeah, and he wasn't wearing USD gear besides wearing all red, but some people were convinced he was wearing USD gear.
Not just as St. Cloud. They're the sponsor, St. Cloud State or whatever.
Right.
I think he was wearing Nebraska gear, but
oh, sure.
Here's John to save us since Jim's not here tonight.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for being here. This has been fun. Go big, go blue.
Go Jags.
Jags.